A24 is making a horror movie that's basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets The Visit. Let's talk about that.
What's your favorite scary movie? Amen.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the Dancing now.
Oh, Lord on the beast!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we are talking about X, a new movie from A24 and director Ty West. We're about to get into all that today, but first I'm going to need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. I talk about a whole plethora of crazy movies on here, including A24's latest release. This won't get any views, which is so unfortunate that more people don't want to see A24 horror movies. I think just about everything they release that's in the horror genre is phenomenal. I have yet to be disappointed. Lamb kind of was a bit disappointing, but besides that, I think everything else is phenomenal. I mean, name me an A24 horror movie in the comments. I bet you have seen it, and I bet I love it. I feel like I'm gonna feel the same way about this movie. X looks phenomenal. Just from the trailer alone that came out today at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, not sure why I put the timestamp there, but I just wanted to tell y'all the trailer came out today. I shared it on my community tab. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check that out before you watch this video because I am going to talk about it extensively here. The big thing I love about the trailer is it looks so 70s. Clearly it's taking place in the 70s just from like some of the things we got from the trailer, but one of my big things about movies that take place, that are period pieces, that take place in certain periods in time, they rarely will use like music from that time period or make it look like stylistically like that time period as well. A lot of movies I feel like miss out on that. One of the biggest misses in my opinion is the Great Gatsby remake from like, was that 2013, 2014 with DiCaprio, and it's got Tobey Maguire in like the role of Nick. Dude, I don't like that movie. I think it looks gorgeous, like it's got a lot of style, but like they're playing rap music at a party that takes place in the 1920s. Like, come on, that just completely takes me out of it. It feels like I'm at a modern party trying to pretend like we're at a 1920s party. Give me some 1920s music. There's a lot of good 20s music, believe it or not. So that would have been cool if they would have done that instead. I get style. I get they're trying to blend it a little bit, but like the whole point of that movie is the time period. There's a big overlying theme about how the 1920s went into the 1930s. It's all about those 20 years of how it went from pretty great to pretty shit real fast. So it kind of sucks that I feel like they missed out on that without using the music or trying to put you in that space mentally. And this trailer already does that very well with just a few things. Like just the way it's shot looks so 70s, looks like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is an unavoidable thing with this movie. It's clearly going to be a love letter to that original Texas Chainsaw from like 1974. But then at the same time, it's using a Foghat song, which is one of my favorite Foghat songs that no one knows about. It's a cover of a Rolling Stones song from one of their first albums. It's I Just Want to Make Love to You. And it's perfect for this film because the movie is about a bunch of kids and they're not kids. Wow, that would be fucked up if it was kids. No, like age appropriate adults who are younger adults. There we go. Let's say that, who are going to make a porno basically in the 70s, and they're using some old person's house, which is like really strange. And these people turn out to be kind of crazy and evil and like start touching them in their sleep, not sexually. But like there's a scene where the old lady, wow, I need to just like cut all of that out basically. But there's a scene where like the old woman is like touching this girl's back while she's sleeping. And then she even says that in the next scene. She's like, oh my God, she was touching me in my sleep. That's creepy as all hell. Oh God, I can't wait to see this. Another thing that's unavoidable with this movie that you might have missed the first time is the fact that it's very similar to The Visit. That's another great movie that I really enjoy from M. Night Shyamalan. I talked about him recently about how I don't love all of his movies, but that is one that like, that's a top tier M. Night Shyamalan movie for me, and a top tier found footage movie. It's scary as all heck, and it's just about like old people. It's just about kids going to visit their grandparents, and oh boy, is there a big old twist at the end of that film. That's a real good twist from Mr. Shyamalan. But I'm hoping that we can see the same thing here, taking place in the 70s and in the style of Texas Chainsaw. That would be really cool. That would be really cool to see. I mean, just from the trailer alone, we kind of saw a few things that are very like symmetrical to both of those films. Another thing that I noticed was they talk about, oh, if there's a line where one of the girls says, if dad finds out that if I'm in this movie, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. And then Kid Cudi, who is in this movie, looks at her and like with kind of a confused look. And the next shot is the old man cutting a sausage, which makes me think that Kid Cudi's gonna lose his member at some point in this film, which, wow, you want to talk about something that would be terrifying? Yeah, that would do it. Little side tangent here. If you've seen my Scream fan film, Red Right Hand, something I got into an argument with my collaborator, Matt, about was I really wanted his character, like the death in that film, to be me chopping off his wiener. Yeah, I was pushing for that the whole time, but it was just completely out of the budget. It was not going to happen, but I really wanted to. There was going to be a scene where he drove off. That's why he gets in the car in Red Right Hand. He was going to drive off. He was going to hit a stop sign, and the stop sign would fall over, and me as Ghostface would jump out of the back of the car, grab the stop sign, and just like chop his wiener off with it. That was going to be the end of Red Right Hand, and we were unfortunately, that just wasn't in the cards. It wasn't in the budget. I really wish we could have done that, because I just feel like what else is going to make the audience go like, oh, geez, like just the retraction from seeing something that horrific on screen. We've seen knife kills. We've seen so many different ways of people getting murdered, but like something where it's like close to the male genitalia, when anything to do with that's typically tough to watch for me, at least personally. Like you can show me people getting stabbed in the chest all day, but if it's getting stabbed in the groin, that is that'll mess me up, man. That'll give me nightmares for sure. Hostel 2, don't watch Hostel 2 if you don't like that. Something I'm looking up right now is that there's another scene, a really like not even a half a second frame in this trailer that I really want to talk about, relating to one of other Tobe Hooper's movies, another one of his films. I believe there's an alligator in one shot. I slowed it down. It's incredibly dark, but there's a movie from Tobe Hooper that he made almost immediately after the original Texas Chainsaw. This movie, I don't care what anyone says. I think it's phenomenal. I absolutely love this film. It has a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is unfortunate. It's just about a guy who like runs a motel, and he has an alligator pet that eats people in the front of his yard. I mean, it's a crazy movie. It's very similar to Texas Chainsaw 2, to the original Texas Chainsaw, not the sequel. It's very similar to that because like the guy gives me Leatherface vibes. The dude, like he seems a little off, like in the head, he's not all there, and then he's just feeding people who like give him trouble to the alligator, basically. And there's a shot where it looks like someone's getting attacked by a gator in this new film in X. So I just feel like this entire movie is going to be a love letter to the films of Tobe Hooper. You can see that with all the Texas Chainsaw parallels. I'm seeing that with this little gator scene, this little tiny shot that's in there, and also just like the way it's shot. I mean, it seems so 70s more than anything, especially with the cinematography. Now, there's one thing I didn't like about the trailer that I do want to point out. The ending with the camera and the cops, that's funny, but it kind of gives away how this film's going to end. Like, yeah, it's probably going to be a slasher flick where everybody dies at the end, but like, that's why we go to slashers. Not every slasher ends that way. It's like, is everyone going to live? Is everyone going to die? Every slasher's different, and they kind of give that away with the ending of this. I'm not going to elaborate any further, but the fact that the cops are there and they found a camera with footage on it, I feel like that was just a bit too much. I feel like the rest of the trailer's great, but that scene, although it was very funny and entertaining, maybe showed a little too much, in my opinion. I want to talk a little bit briefly before I end this video about Ti West, the director of this new film. You might be unfamiliar with him like myself because, wow, this guy has like 3 really big movies that I've just never heard of, which is such a problem. But I know Ti West from the movie VHS, which I'm frequently talking about that series on this channel. I love those movies so much. Ti West did a segment for the original VHS, the one where it's like the girl stabs the guy in his sleep and then the wife and this new girl or whatever just run off. It's kind of a weird segment. I criticized it mildly in my podcast review of the original VHS. I did that with Craven Something Scary, if you like his channel, guys. That was a really good podcast. Make sure to listen to that if you haven't. But my problem with his skit was that it just kind of paled in comparison to the other ones that I felt like were very creative and elaborate. If that was like a standalone movie, like if that was just a 90-minute movie about like a guy, like that would be the twist ending, is that like this couple was going on vacation. Maybe they see some weird stuff happening the whole time, and then it ends up being that the wife was in charge of like his murder so that they could run off together. That would be an interesting horror movie, but like it definitely pales in comparison to the other skits in VHS. I did criticize him a little bit for that, but apparently he has 3 other movies with certified fresh Rotten Tomatoes scores. The House of the Devil has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's basically about a babysitter who's hired to watch like some kids, but then it ends up being that there's no kids at this house she's watching, and she's actually watching this dude's mom, and some weird stuff starts happening, and they're like gonna try and sacrifice her to the devil or something. I don't know. I've not seen the film yet, but it seems like this guy is no stranger to old people being creepy in his movies. I read about what the Innkeeper's, another film he made, and it sounds kind of like similar. And it seems like this guy has dealt with that concept before. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing that again here in X, his new film that comes out on March, this third week of March, I believe it was, that when it comes out. But one more movie I want to mention of his that kind of makes me a little angry, because I literally have half of a screenplay in my Google Docs right now, with basically the same idea. It's called The Sacrament. I've never heard of it until now. I guess it came out in like 2013, like literally a year after his segment on VHS. He makes a found footage cult movie. Now, between that and the new Paranormal Activity, I'm just like heartbroken, because I had this whole idea for a found footage cult movie, and I was never able to get it out there in time before. I thought it was going to be the first one, but this movie came out in 2013. So like Paranormal Activity broke my heart. This kind of just smashed it into pieces. I'm sure I'm going to love both movies, but 2 of my favorite things is films that deal with cults. I love those. That's why I love Ari Aster so much. He's one of my favorite modern horror directors. And then I also really like found footage films when they're done well, because wow, you can mess up found footage very easily, is what I've learned. Ty West is clearly a very interesting horror director. He does like a bunch of different movies on like different topics and stuff. He's not just like a one-trick pony, which I find very interesting. And the fact that he has 3 different movies that are about 3 very different things, and they all have good scores on Rotten Tomatoes, that says a lot about a director. So this guy clearly knows what the heck he's doing. And now he's doing a movie that's different from all 3 of those movies. And this guy's made a bunch of different horror movies about different things. He's clearly very good at what he does. I'm very excited to see X. Another thing I want to praise real quick is A24. I just love all of their horror movies that they put out. Like I said at the beginning of this video, Lamb was a bit of a disappointment to me, like mildly. I still liked it. It was still fun, but it just wasn't as I wouldn't hold it to the same standard as like Hereditary, Midsummer, The Lighthouse, The Witch, the one with ScarJo that I can't remember, where she's like an alien. That Under the Skin's really weird too. I really enjoy that film. A24 rarely misses in the horror category. Climax is another really good one. Highly recommend any A24 horror, even Lamb that came out last October. Very interesting film for sure. All of them have great concepts too. There's not one. There are some that I like more than others, but they all have great concepts. Not all of them have the best execution, but definitely check out anything A24 puts out horror-wise. I would highly recommend them as a studio, as well as the film studio Neon. It's also kind of like indie horror. They recently did Possessor. That was the film that I saw most recently from them. Another great movie from Brandon Cronenberg. But my point is, I'm very excited for X. I think it's going to be a top 10 horror film of the year, and I'm just finding out about it like now, which is really interesting. Make sure to check out the trailer if you haven't. And also, if you liked this video, make sure to like it, subscribe to this page. It helps this page grow. And you know what else helps this page grow? Supporting me on Patreon. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Thank you all again for watching. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.